with Renee.
Yo. We wait all week and all day for more. Saturdays with Renee.
Saturday, episode 67. What's up, world? Renee Johnston, Jared Ball, Geechee, y'all. Good people.
What up?
How we doing?
Why you put Renee in the pocket, yo?
Oh, why I got to go in the pocket?
Because Jared love his DC in the pocket stuff. I just think that's
Oh, you talking about
like music wise?
My bad. Y'all got Killer Mike inspired on your brain. My bad. Not that.
Listen, okay. Now, first of all, stop. First of all, let's correct that. First of all, because I'm even wearing my Chuck Brown Band.
Oh, Chuck, you dirty
hoodie. Because we were out at the spot last night. We were out at the spot last night. I'll put you in the pocket. I got you in the pocket. Yeah. But first of all, so I admitted that the intro is AI generated. I wouldn't do an AI pocket. So we would need somebody to actually step up and hook us up. Just on GP, I wouldn't do that. But I will show you. We were in the spot last night. Chuck Brown Band came out to Columbia last night for one of two shows. So, and they hit this Jill Scott joint, and she killed it. They killed it. It was great.
That's y'all Busboy? What spot is
this?
This
is no. I don't go to Busboys. This is Encore. It's a newer spot down by the lake. Yes, they hit this joint. And then I recorded most of it. If you go to if you watch the rest of that Instagram, they played two of my favorite songs. They hit a lot of Chuck classics, but they hit the general classic One on One. And then they also did the Chuck Brown classic 2001. I was in the spot. And it was nice. You know, it was grown folks. So it was, people did eventually get up to dance, but it started with everybody, you know, you're in your seat. You get seats and tables, which is what I need. I didn't get up. I stayed in my seat. Good view. My only problem, I couldn't see the percussionist, Mighty Mo, who I used to see every week with the Hip Huggers and Sugar Bear. So salute to him. But I just didn't get the view I wanted. And but it was mighty diverse for a go-go show. I have to admit, it was very Columbia, Maryland for a go-go show.
Meaning,
so it was a lot of older white folks in there. It was really weird. It was weird. I'm not going to front.
It was a slutty vegan line in the.
It was kind of like the slutty vegan line.
MLK.
When we served the world. MLK. It was in honor of MLK. And I just was sitting there thinking, and I can't front that, and I understand the contradictions of me being the one bringing that up, but I can't help it. It messes it up a little bit. Like because it's not one or two people with their partners or with their crew. It's like, it was like whole older crews of white folk. And I was like, you would never have been, what shows did you all go to back in the day? This would never have happened. Anyway, it was wonderful. Let me just be in my retrograde. Let humanity advance and we all come together and hold hands at the Chuck Brown show. But
well, I was at a opposite event. There was this mental Monday. No, not Monday. What's the day? I don't know. Whatever, some type of mental drug. We had a discussion, but before discussion, I whipped somebody in spades. They had this dope ass debate game where they pull a random card. You got to debate for or against. They flip a coin, and you might have to flip your stance. So that was pretty fun. But then When I walked to the table to sign up, there's Boyce Watkins' new book, and I was like, "This is not gonna be good." When we start that discussion, which it did, and everybody started talking about financial literacy.
Did you get a copy of it? We should read it.
Oh, actually, I for you actually, I took a picture of the front cover and then all the chapters, but I wasn't gonna get a copy. I actually could get a copy and I'll read it. You know, let's do.
I mean, I'm sure he dipped in his scholarship bag. It might be.
I don't know about sure. What you do, Renee? Because we both had fun.
I was prepping the run sheet.
Oh,
while y'all motherfuckers was out.
She was. Yeah, while we was out there running around. I saw some message at like 3 a.m. talk about make sure you check the correct run sheet. I was like, shit.
The New Black Power.
Man.
The New Black Power, a collection of essays by the People's Scholar. Oh, I didn't know that was his title. The People's Scholar. Dr. Boyce Watkins.
The People's Scholar.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first chapter, The Black Celebrity as Purveyor of Black Culture. Boyce Watkins, does Michelle Obama want her daughters to be like Beyonce? I mean, this is probably just going to be a bunch of trash ass.
Well, it says it's book of essays. So, you know, okay, well, you know, I mean, all
right, but y'all remember Jared is not allowed to add any books or start any books until he finishes Sky Full of It.
I did start it. It's it's interesting.
It's
interesting.
It's a good word for it. It's a good word for it.
I do need to get. But I need
you
to
need
more.
To get on it. Get on it. Yeah. But you have time. We set a date. We set it. Oh, so for those of you who want to fully engage when Jared and I talk about the book, mark your calendars for Saturday, February 15th. That's the deadline I gave Jared.
Yes, thank you.
So that is the show that we will discuss Sky Full of Elephants, and I'm very I'm looking forward to it. I'm super excited for your take on it.
What about one chapter, 4 pages? 5 things I learned from the great Malcolm X. I think Jared should read that.
So it's a 5-page essay about what he learned from Malcolm X.
Oh, really 4? Yeah, 4 pages. 5 things I learned from Malcolm.
Okay, we can allow for that.
All right, I'll read that much of Boyce's
I'm gonna take pictures and send it to you. Don't buy that book, bro.
No. I'll let you
don't buy it.
No.
Send it to both of us. Send it to both of us.
Yeah, let's look into that.
Okay, boys. Don't get mad.
Shout out to the Undefeated chat. Welcome everybody. Please do, as you all are coming in, like, share, subscribe, join, support the Patreon. Put this in your socials. Do all of the things, and welcome. Somebody said it's hard to stay seated during a go-go show. That's true. But it's easier when you're in a venue like that where people didn't really break the social code until towards the end and started to get up and dance. It's also easier when you got back issues. And but we got seated real quick though. We got seated next to this couple, a very interesting African diaspora couple, a Black woman married to a brother whose father's from Nigeria and mother from Ireland. So it was like a very interesting diaspora-filled table. And got to catch up with some older folks and reminisce about back in the day because they were, longtime DC area go-go heads too, and hear about people becoming empty nesters. We all were commiserating about our children growing up, and we're getting old, and how much we allow ourselves to drink when we drink at all. I mean, it was kind of a fun. Anyway, so it was a good night out, and I just want to again salute Chuck Brown's band and acknowledge that yes, it's difficult to stay seated, but
piano jazz. I feel like go-go music.
Piano jazz trio in the background.
The right drink is infused drinks. You got to have wine with jazz, and you have to have some marijuana in your drink for a go-go.
Well,
It's a good vibe.
I didn't have an infused drink, but I was well infused myself. So it was that part was not a problem. And the brother said when he saw me rocking out of my chair, he ended up saying when we were walking out at the end of the show, he said, "You were in your happy place." I said, "You damn right." the pocket is my happy place. So yeah, it was, and they and salute to the perform. Like again, like, you know, my Mama's Biscuits, you know, my background with Mama's Biscuits, I know what it's like to perform, even on a, you know, but to see them, you know, because you might have thought, look, they're out here in Columbia, it's a smaller venue, you know, it's cold outside, but they showed up, man, and they performed like they were in the biggest venue. I've been seeing members of this band perform for years and years, and they perform with Chuck, and his son perform, and his daughter perform. His son sounds just like him. And they put on a really, really good show. So salute.
We're gonna ban Entombed for a little while.
Jazz requires whiskey.
Maybe rum, but no, don't do that.
No, whiskey. I was Manhattaned out last night. But hey, drink water, stay hydrated. There's no hangover problem.
Manhattan.
We all good, ready to go. Yeah.
Audience, just so you all know, while Jared was dancing in his seat and Geechee was playing spades, y'all got a spreadsheet. So I
claiming
just,
he was winning. I got
just
the
want
spreadsheet.
you all to know that.
No, Renee was working.
Yeah.
I was working.
I came home in the spreadsheet, so appreciate you for laying that out.
And the spreadsheet was share, like, I just want to know, because I don't really know how like useful the information is, but I was just curious, so I just went on a little hunt. But anyhow.
All right. So what you all want to do?
I feel like we should start with T.I and Killer Mike, since y'all were supposed to do it yesterday. And since you didn't do it yesterday, and we're engaging our Jared level petty today, fully and wholeheartedly, I think we should start. That's my opinion.
It's fine with me.
Start there. And I want everyone to know that after I watched Jared's little 4-minute video, I sent him a text that said, "You really did an adult YouTube version of Nanny Nanny Boo Boo," because he was like, and I'm here for it. So I think we should start there.
So you with your line on the run sheet here, is there a specific?
Well, I mean, so I think, why don't you tell? So for people who have not been following along, maybe tell folks what happened, and then
sure. The short of it is, and I already put the links in the show description if people want to go watch it. But the short of it is, the other day I just got, and again, I like how it happens this way relative to me. Again, this is not, so I don't want to misrepresent it, but relative to my experience with the social media world. I just get deluged with people telling me, "Did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? You should watch this. You should watch this. You should watch it. Please respond to this." So it was a 5-minute clip of what I now have come to understand, I think, was an older conversation between Killer Mike and T.I. I wasn't really clear when it was, but it was just reposted the other day. And it's 5 minutes of them basically talking trash about me. You know, my work is I'm not a real economist. I'm not Thomas Sowell. I'm not Walter Williams. I'm not any of these, conservative. Who is this? Never mentioning by name, the professor, his myths of buying power, all this, So I did a full, a long response, having fun, clarify, and then their Quarter Lab Entertainment, white-owned owners of their content, initially flagged my video and said you're using copyrighted material, and you can't monetize and do all this other kind of stuff. And I appealed, and I said it was, and that was what that short video was, me explaining that I appealed and told them, how I should be covered under fair use. And they officially, what it says is Quarter Lab rescinded the claim. But I'm sure what it really is YouTube told them you don't have a claim, so they agreed to rescind it, and that was that. I've since already been sent several other clips where apparently whenever this conversation took place, they spent at least some significant portion of it hating on me, because there's another clip I just got sent where they're still going on, and Mike is telling T.I, "Oh, you should just have him on then," and T.I saying, yeah, and never heard a word. But
4 years ago,
never happened.
4 years ago, you get. But first, Renee, did you look more into, because it looked like they, as you said, they have links to other things,
right?
And it looked like
this is the part of it that's of interest to me. Outside of Mike acting like he didn't know the name of your book, them talking all about you but not saying your name, like the absurdity of the whole conversation, to be frank, like
in the clips.
Okay.
And they're just wrong. I mean, that's
right. They're just like, it's all nonsensical.
Right.
No, in the clips they didn't say your name, but in the longer video they said your name a lot, including telling, "Hey, the book is free. You can do it right now. Download it right now."
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, good for them.
Well, there you go. Maybe
they didn't download it. And Mike definitely didn't read that quick book. He didn't read that book. You could tell he did, unless he don't comprehend well.
No, and he's not gonna read the book, because this is what people do and this is what annoys me about people, is this ability to speak on something when you don't have a full understanding. You've made no effort to gain a full understanding, but you talk about it like you know what the hell you're talking about. So, as a person who takes the time to read the thing, right? Like, I try, if I'm going to comment on something or whatever, to actually watch the thing, to actually read the thing, so that when I speak on it, I can speak on it from a place of having actual direct knowledge of what was said or shared. And so for me, it's just annoying. But the thing that I actually like, how these shorts just popped up, right? The video was 4 years old. Like, the actual conversation happened 4 years ago. So why all of the sudden do multiple clips pop up on a YouTube page that is no longer even releasing videos, right? So if you go to the YouTube link, and so what I shared on our run sheet was the Instagram link and the YouTube link to T.I.'s Expeditiously, right? The reason I did that was because I wanted people to take note that the shorts are like days ago, but if you go to the videos are 4 and 5 years old. So,
oh, wow.
Right. So how does this happen exactly, that all of a sudden now, in the current climate that we are in with regard to the economy, to this farce about financial literacy, blah, 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 that all of a sudden a channel that has been literally dormant for the last 4 years is releasing shorts? Like, how does that happen?
Wow. Yeah, that is interesting.
Right? So here's my take on it. The reason is because when you go into the notes for the short, the show notes, which are current, they all lead to links that have nothing to do with T.I.
These all here.
Go to the if you go to the Apple Podcast link, and it says it's T.I, it's going to take you to apple.com.
Oh, wow. So you can buy a new Apple product. Wow.
Right. If you follow the Spotify one, I think it takes you, it took me, I think it was like some tennis player or something.
Yeah,
like
it's a story about Sloane Stephens. Yeah.
Right.
And then podcast
so
one
it's literal
is just
clickbait.
a generic. Oh, wow.
It's literal clickbait. And T.I's Instagram posts these shorts also recently. So what exactly is going on? I don't know. Like I'll work for T.I, but it seems very much to me like this whole thing is about, let's draw some people in, let's talk about financial literacy, draw some folks in, and then we'll send them to other. Now, I did not go super far in like, are these companies that are also associated with this, the whatever the name of the group is, that Quarter Labs or whatever it is that filed the suit. So I don't know if it's clickbait for them specifically. I don't know if it's AI. I don't know if it's YouTube. I don't know, whatever it is, but it definitely is not a legitimate attempt to teach anybody anything. Right? Like, it's just not. David.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. With Silberg on that. I hate that AI now means something other than Allen Iverson, because for a long time that's all it ever meant. But yeah, that's wild.
So you have a whole tab on that clip in the chat, and it starts at 19.
Which in the private chat?
No, I'm sorry, private chat. 1957 is where they start talking about your whole buying power tab. And
damn, there is a whole tab in there.
And he'll say it's free.
Interesting.
Dang.
You rich, you famous, you's important.
I'm important. Let me see let me just play a little bit of this real quick. I haven't seen this.
Said that that it was a myth.
Yeah, I gotta give him a shout out because
but see, the thing is, right?
It's a good book.
Is he saying that the number is wrong?
No, why you cut him off?
Wrong. He's just saying that it's unfocused. Essentially.
Well, see, this is how I see it, right? So it.
Well, quickly, I am saying the number is wrong. I'm saying the number is misrepresentative. It's created by estimates and projections. So yeah, I am saying it's wrong.
But but Mike, he ain't read that book. That's why he don't know what you said.
Okay, definitely. Unless he provide what's free.
His book. Oh, his book is free. Now, I ain't gonna lie, he passed the best test in the world. Okay, the myth and propaganda of black buying power and
the myth and propaganda of black buying power. Yeah. Well, see, this is the thing, right? You can't tell me
this shit is the weirdest analogy.
If I've stood out in the rain before. You see what I'm saying?
I understand.
If I've been pushed in a pool before, you're gonna.
Now that part got played on one of the shorts. So they cut out the part where my name and book is mentioned, and they start with that part there on one of the shorts where he's saying, "You can't tell me the water
isn't wet." You know what I mean? And we've both seen the power of what the
pause one more time.
We both been.
So I think the point is, right? So they leave your stuff out because I really think that's a marketing tactic, and using that part of buying power and black spending and whatever is more ammunition for those people who the link that it goes to, for them to actually pay for that spot.
That makes sense.
I really think they pay for that spot. I mean, I don't want to.
Well, then that just, but it just messes up the theme I'm trying to develop, that they're spending more time hating on me. Like that's just by making this about some marketing thing and not about me messes up the whole point, Geechee. So I don't appreciate that level of probable accuracy, but damn, yeah.
And part of it, we redirected funds. Matter of fact, it made us millionaires. You know, it changed the course.
Now I saw this short before, and I liked that part that they actually said that buying power, because they are making my point. Buying power, T.I. is saying, worked for me. It worked for us. It made us millionaires. When black people buy our stuff, and really, to say it properly, when white corporations sign, promote, distribute, and use payola probably to place our work all over the place, and our community spends its relative amounts of money on it works for us. Now they're real, what he says he became millionaires, what really made them millionaires is of course the broader white audience that supports their work. But even if it's black, the point would still be it's just saying that whatever little exists in the black community, you've taken an oversized portion of, because the rest of the community is demonstrably, by every report out, doing worse. So I do appreciate that they said that, you know.
I would lie. Absolutely. And you told me a story of how kids at the AU Center decided to not drink Coca-Cola and not fly Delta during apartheid, and that brought about change in South Africa.
Yes, because the Coke and Delta both being out of here. If you get African Americans protesting and not spending money here,
right,
on Coke and Delta in particular, right, everybody has to start listening.
That's right. So I think that pokes holes in his theory altogether. So I think we have
that's a stretch.
Okay, yeah. So the divestment occurred because black people boycotted? I don't think so. Because black Americans boycotted. That's
I mean, when you hella confident that your audience is not going to fact check anything, I mean, you could say a lot.
But again, to the point I am making, the real power we do have is in mobilizing in political organization. So part of what he's saying is in fact correct. It is the fact that Black America, along with many other people around the world, got out and mobilized, protests, made noise, etc., that led to the divestment of major corporate. That's what would have been my point. It wasn't that black people in this country boycotted Coke and stopped flying on Delta.
Because I'm not here to dispute his theory as much to say there are nuances where it often gets explained to me as either or. That's a mythology. But we never talk about what Dr. Amos Wilson talked about, what Dr. John Henry Clark talked about. We never talked about what Johnson Products did, what Bronner Brothers did.
We talked about a lot of
owners of production, right? You know.
Yeah, we did talk about
a lot
what Amos did right and wrong. And the only thing, again, I just want to be clear, the only thing I said about Amos Wilson that he was wrong on was misunderstanding the Selig Center reports that he co-signed as accurate. That was my only. So we did, and then what he says here about Dr. Clark is wildly misrepresentative.
And I think again, I think the problem is people like him sees the title of Amos' book, Blueprint for Black Power, and don't follow through on anything he actually said. The economic advice, as we said in Where Are They Now, is for conversation only. Not to follow, because he's not a trained economist. This is just to stimulate dialogue. And if you do follow each of those things that he highlighted, 90% of them failed. So Amos definitely didn't set you up to,
But Wilson was also not promoting economic development for the purposes of black capitalists, black bourgeoisie, the creation of black millionaires like T.I. and Killer Mike. That was not his point. And when Mike says here in a second something about Dr. Clark and buying from black people, Clark's argument, and as he said often, was, I don't want to see any African leader driving a Mercedes unless my people are making them. That was his argument, that he was saying Africans need to have controls of the means of production and have control nationally over whatever is to be their geographic or termed country. And not to create, again, a black bourgeoisie and black millionaires. The point was Africans producing cars and et cetera for the purposes of improving and protecting the entire community. So this is all, and by the way, when they hate on me about my scholarship, for whatever it's worth, you can still, Killer Mike and anyone else, get a copy of my thesis on Dr. Clark from the John Henry Clark Library at the Africana Studies and Research Center up there at Cornell University. Anytime you like, and you can read more about Dr. Clark if that, anyway.
There was a time where black people didn't buy grease from white folk. You understand what I'm saying? Wasn't no Paul Mitchell sold in the community. Okay. You know it was coming from Bronner Brothers. You know it was coming from, and there was a pride in that. Look at the old Soul Train. Yeah. Who's the commercials? Yeah, you're right. So we have my grandfather. My grandfather would say exactly. My grandfather always say, man, he said the worst thing to happen to Negroes is integration. And I used to think, I heard a lot. Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about? You light skin with good health. You know what I'm saying? But what he was talking about was it took dollars. It robbed us of our dollars started escaping.
But Andy Young would not agree with that. His rap career wouldn't agree with that. Killer Mike has no rap career if he's only performing for and selling to black audiences. again, Run the Jewels had a track on, I think it's 2 years ago or last year, on my FIFA game. On one of the most popular, most played games in the world had a Run the Jewels hit and track on it. You could so this man is in some ways a global celebrity whose money is coming from everywhere but Black America, and he's talking about segregation was better for us. I mean, that is bananas.
So I did one more clip, but in the other clip, the one in the link, the sister actually asked him that question. Like, you got money, you got paydays. Like, why would you tell people without money? And he start talking about that, and then he actually talked about how the Hawks owner, the Atlanta Hawks owner, suggested that he should teach financial literacy just as well as he suggested that John Hope Bryant should teach financial literacy. So it's kind of, it's very similar to
it's like Jordan, LeBron. It's 1A. It's Kobe, Jordan. It's 1 and 1A. John Hope Bryant, Killer Mike. I mean, financial literacy, education. It's, you know what I mean?
Oh, I didn't even see Biden behind there. Damn, that's wild. And your boy
behind where?
Behind the sister with the
Cory Booker. Yeah, and Biden. Yeah. Economic empowerment, the arena.
Here watching, thinking, look, I don't have money like Mike.
Who's your boy in the middle?
And if I'm paycheck to paycheck, how can I even start thinking about saving or financial literacy or investing? What would you say to them?
Okay, so it's a lot of times very arrogant to get a lot of money and then say, well, this is what you should do with money. So I'm always speaking from the standpoint of a guy who worked at AutoZone for $200 a week, sold cheap marijuana on the side, and tried to figure out saving his own life so the streets wouldn't
Hold up. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. That may be the worst news yet. There's never an excuse for selling cheap weed.
That
is blasphemy. How dare he admit that? There is never an excuse for that. Well, I don't care how poor you are.
Technically, he's a son of a police officer, so he gotta sell Reggie. That's just how it works, bro.
When I was delivering pizzas,
he had that loud. Hey man, listen.
So let me give you the advice that my grandparents gave me. Live within or below your means, Michael. If you can afford a $1,500 studio apartment, then you need to be figuring out how to find an $800 or $900 apartment. If you can afford to put down on a car and pay notes for 4 years, you can afford to save up for 2 years and buy a used car. Until this year, my wife and I only bought pre-owned cars. I bought her first new car this year, and that was after I got a huge payment.
He just snitched on himself again. I'm sorry. If you're poor, you're driving a used car. If you have money and are getting them secondhand Beamers and Bentleys, that's pre-owned. That's what they call them, pre-owned. So he's not. There's no poor people driving pre-owned Toyotas.
This whole thing is so absurd. Like, you have to live below your means. People cannot eat with what they are making. So what are we talking about right now? And I can only assume this is from 2020 because they're sitting so far apart on the
social
stage.
distance. Yeah, with the glass in between.
So this is also probably old, but like this is fucking absurd, even for 2020. You see, they making me cuss, man. Like,
we just had a discussion. We just talked about it in the house. Please, everybody, there's a classic, I think, great documentary called American Ruling Class. If you haven't seen it, please check that out. I used to use it in my classes. I think I need to break it back out. And it features the late and I think great Barbara Ehrenreich and in some performance role, actually kind of interesting. But we were talking about her book, one of her books, Nickeled and Dimed, where she where she demonstrates Renee's point. She said, she took working class job, I think as a waitress for I think a year, and demonstrated how you cannot survive.
Right.
That people are not surviving.
Like this idea that you can, as someone who is barely getting by with a full-time, sometimes 2 full-time jobs, because we live in a place where literally the goal is to give regular people as little as possible so the owners can make as much as possible. So you have people working 2-3 jobs and barely making enough to pay their rent. So you're saying if you already struggle and you already can't make the balance of what you need versus what what you're going to do, like, what are you giving up exactly? Like, are you giving up breakfast? Like, is that what you're going to cut back breakfast? Even though that's the whole thing with the fake foods and the fake breakfast and all that shit. But like,
I know one thing you have to give up when you don't have money is freaking haircuts. So you're not going to make $100 million at a barbershop when people are stopped getting their haircut, because haircut is something that you spend with the excess money that you have.
But nobody's broke. But this is again part of the fact. Like, nobody's broke because they spent too much getting their hair done. Nobody is like entire communities are not poor because everybody bought a car that they technically can't afford. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's absurd. Like, oh, just buy used. People are buying clunkers so they can try and have somewhere to sleep at night. Like, they ain't paying
rent. He said pre-owned. He ain't driving no clunker. He and his wife not driving no clunker.
I'm just saying. I can't.
He said pre-owned.
This is such an absurd conversation. It's an absurd conversation. And I'm almost like unable to stomach this nonsense.
The first time somebody said that,
this you gotta watch, Geechee. I want to reach through the computer and punch this dude in his mouth. I'm so aggravated by this whole conversation. So,
well, listen, we don't have to get into much more. But as you know, he tried to use the Wells Fargo line that Wells Fargo invested $60 million. No, Wells Fargo agreed to pay $59.3 million to African Americans and Hispanics. Retail, because of the subprime the subprime loans that they gave him before. So they actually, So
he said that again. Like, that's part of his.
He's got to be making some money by dropping their name over and over again.
Of course,
he's got to be. He's got to be, because whenever you talk about mortgages and you pretend like when you pay a mortgage, the bank's not making more money off of your mortgage than they donated or gave or said they were going to give to the community. They're making hand over fist more than whatever they promised to do in mortgages, in fees, in payments, and interest. And like, there's no shot they're not going to make more money off of that investment than they made than the actual investment was. And that's the point. These people are not under any circumstance going to do anything for any poor, working, black, brown, and whatever community unless they're making money off of it. Period.
So I just looked up quickly these old reports. I don't think they get made anymore, but I used to look at these all the time, these American Bandstand reports from back in the day. And what they were reports of rap music references to name brands. And then showing, they were to what extent they were making a one-to-one claim, but they were showing how those brands also were doing overall in the marketplace. So they weren't just saying, quite saying, so just in 2005, Mercedes had 100 mentions in rap lyrics. Cadillac had, I forgot how, let's see, they got Eclipse from the year before. 50 Cent dropped 20 brands in lyrics in that year in 2005. So and I used to look at these and reference them all the time just to make the point, and then show that even at one point there was a company, a black man had made it called PASS, PASS, that was designed specifically to partner rappers with brands to put stuff in there. So if people remember, that's when we started getting past the Courvoisier from Busta Rhymes and all of that, like tracks like that started coming out a little, like, and there were, I think that was officially one of them that had actually, that was born out of a deal. It wasn't just a routine reference of some kind. And so maybe my point in all that is to say, maybe this is Killer Mike doing a new version of that I know you're going to be doing all these interviews and this stuff comes up. If you mention, it was even part of, it was a theme in the show Veep that I used to love, where, people were being paid to mention, he said glacé cherries on the news. You know what I mean? Like, he was like, how am I supposed to work in glacé cherries when talking about the politics, say the president.
And then there's also,
so that's what they're doing.
Right. And then there's also this Wells Fargo, who was sued several times for stealing from Black and Latino. Like, exactly. Like, we just gonna pretend like none of that stuff happened.
And they would also sponsor Tavis Smiley, what my crew and I used to call the Great Negro Bowls that he would host every year. Those black panel crisis discussions with everybody. They would host those too. So it's like they were like blackwashing their image by having Black spokespeople.
I can't.
So there's this like merging of how we use the word investment, right? Obviously, like the people who got money, and then we who invest our time and resources and brain, and it's like that's not the return. But when you actually look at the money, that's like I think it was like 35% of individual wealth invested in stocks and funds for white folks, and Black folks are only investing like 8%. And then why they investing? Like, there's this report where white people are not investing for their kids' future. They're investing for retirement. Black people are investing for trying to get a vacation. They're trying to take care of kids. And it's like, I mean, it's just not really, possible. And then even last night at the event, one of the brothers was saying that he's an angel investor. And I wasn't about to, it's like, sure.
Oh, Lord, here we go.
It's like, sure. But that's what they went to talk about the collective, and then they started talking about their individual investments. And I prayed myself off the job, and now I'm a boss, and I'm like, okay.
Well, Renee looked into it more than I ended up doing it. But remember the market like Jesus, market like the Messiah sister.
Her whole thing, man.
It's perfect. Like, we're gonna, like, Jesus had a brand. He had a marketing strategy, and if you follow his, you could be as popular as Jesus. It's like, wow. Even I feel like that's blasphemy. I'm offended for the Lord on that one. Like, that's like an odd twist to put on your Savior. I mean, my goodness. But yeah.
Investments.
All right. So have we adequately covered Jared level petty?
Capitalist
Can we
Jesus.
move on to Renee's Jared level petty? Is it time?
Oh, yeah, let's upgrade. Let's upgrade. Because bottom line is I won my little pettiness. My video is monetized. And I meant to put it in the thing, by the way, because when you show the money that it's projected to make, it was like $3.06. Which is crazy. So these multi-millionaires. That's why I said they're trying to suppress the idea. This isn't me hurting the value of their product. These are millionaires.
The moral of the story: Mike is not going to become Regis Corporation with super clips and have 4,000 locations.
Wow!
To make $100 million. When, especially Black men, we got locks. We getting lineup sometimes, and then actually, me and my barber was just talking about this. My barber who does my lineup. Remember that stat that says Black wealth is going to be 0 in 2053. And he was like, he didn't realize how that thing is going to hit him. But a lot of customers just stopped coming, and he thought it was him. But it's like, bro, like, people are not getting their haircut like that no more. YouTube is really popular. I mean, we on YouTube now. But YouTube is really popping on self-cuts right now. Like, you can literally say how to cut my hair. And you'd be like, zzz, and then you're done.
And I'm sorry, Renee, one other little... I want to praise Geechee. I think that's important, even though I have none to speak of anymore. I think people with locks do need to have a shape up. I still think it's important. Just because your hair is long, don't mean you can abandon the shape up. Come on,
It
fellas.
depends. It depends.
No, I'm just playing. Actually,
Women
I don't
like
care.
that. They like that. They like that stretchy roughy.
Look, I'm just playing.
I know this. The getting my hair washed, she be doing a lot of work to keep my edges on, locked in when I get it done. It's a lot of work. But it takes y'all listen. I can admit readily that I eagerly pay her to do so because it takes me 8 hours to wash and lock my own hair, and it takes her 45 minutes.
Golly.
And so,
golly.
I feel like we need to.
This is the curse when you have so much hair, man. It's a lot of hair.
I mean, we need to dedicate it.
Why are you talking trash? Who was I talking trash?
No, I meant to say. I meant the David one. David be having all of the punchlines. I need to collect all his punchlines.
Oh, he is the pun king.
Under locks and keys.
David is the pun king.
Big. But who was I talking trash about though?
Oh, you talking?
That's Rao.
The lock brothers.
Rao. Okay, my bad. Okay, I get you. What's up, Rao?
It's just jokes.
Stay nappy.
All right. So my Jared level petty time. So, as we all know, I went through great pains over the course of multiple shows to discuss the election results and why the laziness of saying it's just misogyny and racism. That's why Kamala lost. Blah blah blah. Was completely incorrect. I went through the pains of creating.
You're breaking up there a little bit. Hold on, we missed that last part.
Biden.
I said am I back? You see, it's because I'm talking about the elections, right?
The Democrats said, "Oh, get her."
And so I went through all that pain to try and share. Here's how you look at data. Here's some ways to review data. And apparently, despite the claims of being so, all about Black women, my information was dismissed. So we've discovered that some white men have now put forward that it was indeed not about racism and misogyny. So perhaps since white people have done it now, people can actually take it into account that, this was not about Kamala being a Black woman, right? And because I'm engaged in my Jared level petty, and I don't like being told that when I put in that level of work to be helpful, that it's, it doesn't move people, and it's not, it's not that it wasn't that moving of an experience to hear all the numbers that I crunched. So let's talk about the white people who crunch the numbers, because now maybe that the white people crunch the numbers, we can just take that into account and say that's what it is.
Y'all can act like Elon and Renee not tag teaming some petty level right now, but
listen, petty. And Brittany, just so you know, this ain't really about convincing liberals. It's actually about convincing Black people that Black people know what the fuck they talking about when they run data.
No, it's the Black folks you got to have good white sources for.
So Jared, you had brought up this Substack very, very briefly at the start of the last show. And I went back and really read it because I wanted to make sure that I was clear on what the data was being pulled. So the Substack link, and I think it might be the second one in that row, Jared, not the.
Wait, is it in the?
It's in the election reviews. It is the weekend reading.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, my bad. Yeah, how Trump won. That's right.
So
yes.
So this was the first report that I got wind of that talked about how Trump won. And there's some interesting things that this writer and I don't know anything about the author, this Michael Podolsky, if that's how you pronounce it. But they discussed it on Majority Report, and I went and tracked down the article. And so he talks, if you scroll down a little bit, there's a headline called Escape from Flatland. And for me, this is really an important thing to look at, because this is one of the things that I really pointed out was when we're talking about elections, we cannot pretend as if there are not a whole group of people who don't participate. and that does indeed have an impact on what the results are going to be. Because if people sit out, it changes how this all like plays out. And so what he talks about, oh, look, see, Jared always be thinking about stuff the way I think about stuff, which is why we work so well. So he writes, in 3D land, we include eligible non-voters in our analysis. This is important because it will change the outcome or bolster post hoc finger pointing with new what ifs, because it will let us better understand the meaning of the vote as well as where the best hope for the future is. So, as I said multiple times as we were going through this process, you have to look at the non-voters. You can't just dismiss the non-voters. It just doesn't make sense to dismiss the non-voters.
Keep reading for the sports fans right there.
No, I'm not getting into this whole. He does this whole analogy thing, so I guess to try and make sure that people understand it.
I won't front. It helped me. It did help me when I read. It did, because I have a, whatever my particular learning pattern situation is, I do struggle with this kind of stuff. That's why you've been, sort of walking me through this over the last few months. But so, yeah, I found it helpful. So whoever, I was the target audience for this, this analogy.
But it all boils down to the same thing. When you are looking at what makes a decision in the election political scape of electoral politics, you have to look at the whole pool of eligible voters, not just who voted Republican and who voted Democrat. So, did you want to talk about that? Yeah.
No. All I wanted to go back to is just this point here to emphasize your correctness, that as written in he writes it differently, but the point being, what you said is what he's arguing, that this country is just as racist and anti-Black and anti-woman as it's ever been, but that's not why she lost. She lost because she didn't, and I like the language of that other report about that was more specific about Palestine.
We're gonna get to that.
Yeah, but that's why she lost. That had she broken with Biden and done more that most of us actually want, she'd have been fine. But but that was all I wanted to,
So if you scroll down a little bit more, there's a graph called Vote Share Change 3D Land, and it actually looks at the voting, like how the voting share is split up when you account for the third party vote. Hold on, let me see if I can. It's the one with this like gray, red, and blue. It's right above the Trump and MAGA didn't get more popular headline, like subtitle or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, I didn't see.
Oh, you got to scroll up a little bit more.
Go up.
Yeah, go up.
I'm sorry. What was what's the one we're looking for called again?
The headline you're looking. That's it. That's the one. That's the one right there.
Yeah.
So I found this graph probably to be one of the most interesting ones, because there's a lot of graphs and charts and information that was included, and I do recommend that people read this article. It was actually pretty fascinating to me in my own like weird data sensing thing. But what this chart does,
description already.
Right. What the chart does is look at the actual voting population, and it accounts for the third party. And what the black line is in the middle of each chart, it shows like the change in the overall votes. Like, did the total turnout go down? Did it go up? And what's the share of each group between third party, Democrat, and Republican? So it's just an interesting look at like how what the role of third party voting played within the scope of the results for that particular election. And what I think probably bothered me the most looking at it was that if you look at 2024, there's no gray. Democrats went down. Republicans aren't there, and neither is third party. That's how small of a difference they made with regard to the change in how many people went out and actually voted. So it's an interesting graph.
So tell me this. So last night we was having a conversation about like I think at least one person said they end up voting green. And so what I've been trying to do is like have a conversation around policy, right? So I think the policy that I used last night was the Democrats trying to erase the tax breaks for people who have over 60 properties. So the corporate investors who have over 60 properties. And then obviously the Republicans want to keep the tax breaks because they say, you know, whatever about the economy. But again, 60 properties, like, you know, and so everybody was able to agree, like, yeah, I mean, damn, they don't need 60 properties because, and everybody was renters in the room. And they're like, okay, so if you could probably buy this house, these people can pay cash, so they'll be able to buy it. So both of those policies you don't really rock with. And then in this article, it was saying like the vote was in no confidence in the Democrat, but it also didn't mean that they embraced Trump. So I'm curious if y'all believe like this is the high time to either create a political party or kind of join one of the parties that you most align with and struggle with, and eventually, I guess, going to split. But like, does this mean this is high time for us?
I mean, it's been high time for it. I don't know which one. I honestly don't know which one is the way to go. You know, whether trying to start something new is the way, or, you know, I'm Green Party. I'm going to stay Green Party. I really appreciate what the folks in New Jersey are doing. And I feel like they're really working to try and reach out and talk to people and be present in multiple spaces. So I don't have any plans in my mind to do anything different. But I do understand where people say, like, you know, they just can't ride. Whatever is going on with the Green Party in their particular area, or looking at the national landscape of the Green Party and having questions about whether or not that's the right way to go and should they move and do something different. You know, for all that Claudia and Karina were able to do this year, PSL is also not new, right? Like they didn't start this election season. People think they did, but they did not. And so everything is about, you know, finding a space that works based on what it is that your capacity is in order to make a difference in the ways that you feel like is going to be most beneficial to those who are around you, right? Like my goal in staying with the my point in staying with the Green Party is not actually about me. It's because I see them doing the work of talking to other people in New Jersey and reaching out and participating in different things and trying to, you know, get out and actually engage with people.
Right.
So as long as that's what we're doing in New Jersey, I will remain a part of what's happening in New Jersey.
So Jared, we talked about this before. You think we should pregame at the block party, right? And then skip the party and go straight to the after party. How you feel about
it? That works. Pregame at the block party. Say that again and figure it out at the after party.
No, pregame at the block party, skip the regular party and go straight to the after party.
Yes. Yeah. Pregame and after. The real thing is the main thing is always the worst part. But Renee, if I can hold, this is what I'm talking about. So just so I'm understanding what I'm reading here, these horizontal.
If you click on it, it'll come out a little bit more so you can see it. Okay.
Right. These horizontal black lines, it says, are the change in the turnout rate from the previous election.
Correct.
So that's saying in 2024, overall, in terms of all eligible voters in this country,
the turnout rate down by
went
about
down.
4%. Yes.
Right. And what this is also showing is that within that, only the Democrats went down in there.
Exactly.
So like all of that drop it seems like it's the Democrats.
Correct.
All right. I just, that's okay. I did. Okay. All right. I got that then. All right.
Right. So what I would have liked to see, what you would prefer to see, right, in a climate where things are so wild, is that the turnout is a little higher, but the turnout is higher because more Green Party people come out, more PSL people. So the gray makes up the differential for why the turnout is higher. So this is some, you know, like 1992. You can see that that's what happened. In 1992, the turnout was significantly higher. Democrats got a little bit more, but mostly people went out to vote third party.
Got it.
Right. Yep. So that's what you would prefer to see, but it just didn't quite pan out that way. So for folks that are asking, this is a Substack article.
It's linked in the show description too.
And it's thank you, Jared.
And so the the rest of this article is demonstrating that this part we're looking at here at the end, where in 2024 the overall drop in eligible voters from the previous election is largely because Democrats didn't come out. And this article is demonstrating that that fact is not the result of them being more racist and anti-woman or anti-Black women specifically. It has everything to do with the politics and the everything else.
So if you keep scrolling down, there's a section called the share. It's not too far below what you're looking at.
Trump's share of eligible voters.
That's the one. And so
it was the same as it was 4 years ago.
And this was the part that I think probably annoyed me the most about the analysis that I was arguing against, was this idea that like all these people just came out and they voted for Trump and then they went home, which turned out to be an absolute false statement. It just was not true, as evidenced by the numbers. And the reality is that the actual percentage of people who came out and voted Trump, when you look at the overall eligible voters, did not change. So the same percentage of eligible voters who voted for Trump in 2020 voted for Trump in 2024. It is the percentage of voters who came out and voted Democrat that actually significantly dropped. And so that's the piece of it that I kept saying, like, you have to look at where the numbers went down, not just look at, this differential in how many people came out and voted Trump. And you definitely do not lie to an audience and tell the audience that people came out and checked Trump and then went back home, when that's an absolute falsehood. That's just not actually accurate in any way, shape, or form.
So again, and I gotta believe I'm not the only one struggling with this, but this is showing, again, these horizontal black bars are showing where the overall rate of eligible voters was or was not compared to the previous election. Right. So in 2024, there was, what is this? Is this an increase of 30 some percent? From 2020 to 2024 for overall eligible voters. Am I reading that part right?
The actual overall vote. Yeah. The actual eligible voters. Correct.
And then this is showing
so that it went up from, it's like an increase of 10 or something, whatever when you look at the left-hand side. So the eligible voters, it was like 31%, right? And then it goes up to maybe 35%. So this is the total number of eligible voters who actually voted in this. Am I making sense? I know the numbers.
And then this is, and then the red bar here is showing that from 2020 to 2024, Trump got whatever this increase is of percent or so.
If there was any, and it seems to me like there's almost none.
Yeah, there might.
I mean, it's a little bit
something.
It's like
there's something.
Yeah,
but it's not. But the problem is
like
over here.
26.
Correct. That's where the real problem is.
But the problem is over here, where again, the eligible voters overall went up from 2020 to 2024 over here.
Right.
But the amount of Democrats went down.
Correct.
So
the last chart I want you to go to is the one that really, I think, nails the whole situation.
So that was like from 32 to 27.
But there was one more part of that you just said. I just wanted you to. So, but when you say that it's false that people ran into town, voted for Trump, and nobody else and left, how are you showing that again?
It's not in this. That's my data.
Oh, okay.
That is me going through and actually doing the research of how many people voted down ballot. And if you go, folks want to go back to that show, we talked about Philadelphia, and we talked about all these places where some of the down ballot Republican votes were actually higher than Trump.
Wow. Right.
So it was a false, and I skipped a state when we did the whole conversation, and really it was like absurdly wrong to say that out loud. It was just false. And so, but that didn't move anybody. So if you scroll down to I'm just gonna keep saying that over again.
Democrat Party will split and create another party. You think that would be possible? The Democrats could like split and create another party? Like, I mean, not like I guess something like DSA or something. Like, you think they could possibly pull that off?
I don't see it. And the party itself, I mean, it would be a move of resistance. I know the party itself wouldn't want that to happen. But I don't. But again, I don't. Renee, it would be great. It would be great. But part of at least what I keep seeing happen is that everybody becomes a cheerleader for the bigger tent Democratic Party. They don't become an advocate for even moves like that. That was even my point with the after party. I'm not even. It to me is such a fun way of capitulating, really, from my vantage point. But there still has been, just in my experience, this tremendous resistance to leaving this party that is the only one that has a legitimate chance to win. And I mean, it's all that kind. So I don't see it. But anyway, Renee, and I don't know exactly where you wanted me to go, or if you wanted yourself, Renee, to respond to that question.
Can you all hear me? Because
now we can.
Something is going on my computer.
Oh, now we can.
Okay.
Nancy Pelosi, that's what it is. No, it's Van Jones and Nancy Pelosi.
No, we win in AI. Chill out. Equity. Go ahead.
Right, we win in AI. Oh my God.
All right, so the last one is the anti-MAGA voters. So you can see, and he mix of
you broke up there a little bit.
Looking at the differential between how many people.
Right there.
Mm-hmm. But I think Renee's breaking up. And we don't hear you at all right now.
They said a brother who know well about the algorithm.
Yeah,
Nancy Hepshit
wow, shit.
Yeah, Renee, sorry, we're not able to hear you at the moment.
Yeah, she about to reboot.
Oh, okay. But anyway, let me just invite folks to like, share, subscribe, check the Patreon as well. All the links in the show description, as is a link to this Substack story about how Trump actually won and how it had more to do with her unwillingness to break left from Biden, is again my oversimplification. But it wasn't that people were rejecting, at least the argument here that we find compelling, is that it wasn't just that the country is racist and anti-woman, which it is, and that part has not changed. It just it that wasn't the particular reason for not voting for Harris.
So they were saying how like the country is anti-MAGA, but definitely not pro Democrats. But
yeah, I mean, in the same way that there were a lot of people who were willing to vote for Biden or Obama, or even to a certain extent Hillary Clinton, who are not some progressive, even Democrat. They're just not on this Team Trump thing. But one thing I would like to see more of in this story, and I think Renee is coming back. Do we have you back, Renee?
I think you have me back now.
Nice. Well, I'll just finish this thought that the question is the one thing, and I'll ask you, how did you find the article clarifies this point, that the reason for that the reason for not supporting Harris had less to do with racism and sexism. But we can come back to that when you finish your point here, or maybe this will help further that question.
So so the chart in this section specifically talks about how where she really lost ground was with people who were just against Trump, right? So one of the big reasons that Biden won in 2020 were people were so anti having Trump having a continuing, presidency, that they went out to prevent that from happening. And she just simply did not move the same percentage of people to feel strongly enough about being against Trump that they were willing to support her. Right? So, and these are Democrats, like these are these are blue voters. So this is really the issue that comes up. So the reason that I think that this points out that it's not because the reality is more people did not come out for Trump. So if you want to hold on to this theory that like it's because she's a Black woman, that's why they didn't come out, like I guess you can try and hold on to that all you want. But the reality is that there have been additional studies that have now come out that explain why she did not get the support. So this is where we can go now to the actual poll so Ryan Grimm released a report. And Dropsite News is where he released his article, but his article is based on a study. So, for the sake of making sure that we give appropriate credit where credit is due, this is where I found the poll is in this article from Ryan Grimm. But I think what's more important is the actual poll, right? So when they went in to check out, they did their study of why people did not support Kamala Harris. And we're going to see exactly, this is my big, like, now you can go fuck yourself.
Brittany says the meat and taters. It's the meat and taters right here, buddy.
Sorry.
Here it go, buddy.
So when you scroll down, it's going to be very, very clear that Gaza is the top reason. Point blank, period.
Gaza,
people
gotcha.
do not want to support someone who is okay with genocide. Done. So when we
can we just start just one quick second. But as bad, as correct as you are, and as bad as genocide is, folks are still upset about what Kamala and them not doing about the economy, healthcare, Social Security, immigration, abortion, and then some were just like, I don't even know. I'm just these motherfuckers. I don't even know.
There's something about them I don't like. I just don't like them motherfuckers.
Put my finger on it. These motherfuckers.
Right.
So yeah, but you're right. People were clear, like this is some bull right here. All right, okay.
Right. So I just, it was stated multiple times that, like, I just don't think that Gaza is going to turn out to be that much of an issue. I guess you was wrong. And I guess I was right. So I'm sorry to be that person. No, I'm not. I'm very happy to engage my Jared level petty right now, because I just think it's a really shitty thing to do to participate in a conversation, then to pretend you didn't participate in the conversation, and then to have the audacity to be sending notes and shit like, oh, well, I'm not really moved. All right, well, maybe the white people moved you.
Ooh.
There you go.
You think going on some bitch ass TV show gonna make you some kind of hero?
Bitch ass, you should have edited the TV for you to stop. That's not gonna work.
So there we go.
So hey, but okay, so again, and I keep going back to last night. It's so hard to be in a room full of people and force them to kind of talk about their interests and needs and aspirations for like a society that they want to live in, because again, so much of the conversation is red, blue, and MAGA, whatever. And it's like, okay, let's talk about like social policies or social order that you want to see. And maybe because again, we're in the world of make-believe and people do believe that you can spin your way. Matter of fact, Jared, the host of the event shot you out last night. Because I thought I was gonna one him up. I thought I was asking him, like, you probably think,
Wait, is this the event you were hating on a few minutes ago?
It was, but that's what was weird. Like he knows your work, but then he has voice on his table, and I was like, but he did shout you out because I thought I was gonna hit him with the circulating the dollar and Black Wall Street. He said, no, Jared Ball already. I was like, oh shit. So
but it's important, and it's also important to point out, like, when 5% of people who say, oh, I just don't know, out of the largest group, like, that's a very small percentage of people who can't put a finger on what it is that bothered them, right? And there was a whole conversation in addition to this about like voters being stupid, right? Like, oh, they're just stupid. They don't know anything that you're talking about. They're not thinking about the economy. They're not thinking about this. They're not, and that's just not the case, which was something else that I argued very vehemently. Like, we can't just say people are stupid, right? People live within their realities. They are not stupid about their own situations. People understand that they can't pay rent, they can't eat, they can't afford a doctor. They understand that they can't feed their children. They understand that it's cold outside and they can't afford to heat wherever space they live in. They understand that the rent's too damn high. Like, they understand these things, right? This is the reality of living within your situation as a person in this country. And so to me, it was wildly absurd, again, that word absurd, to just be like, oh, well, people just they don't really know. Mm-hmm. They don't really know all this stuff that you're talking about, as if people aren't actually living in their skins in this country and struggling to get through from day to day.
I would be curious to see the raw data before the coding. Because I'm pretty sure some people said something about money or whatever, and then they put that into the economy. Whoever compiled the data. So I would be curious that, because although people aren't dumb, I think there are people who really don't know how shit work, and they really could probably say anything. So right. I would love to see. I mean, I don't know if that's possible, but I would love to see what some of those answers were.
Right. And A-Rob, I don't have an argument with this. Like, he says, I definitely agree with the analysis, but I'm also skeptical that a Black woman with the right policies could have won. No real way to measure that, though. And you're right. Like, we do. And I want people to be very clear. My argument is not that this country is not misogynist and racist and that a lot of people are stupid. I'm very clear that is the reality of living here. My point really was, this nonsensical idea that we're just going to put it on that, and we're not going to pay attention at all to the politics that are going on behind what was propping up this campaign. She had nothing, right? She didn't even have like the ability to lie about having something, which is at least Trump lied about having something, right? Like, so it's just, it's wild. Like, I just can't, I really hope, and I'm sorry, Jared, you might get like a, it didn't have to go down like this note, possibly, whatever. But I just can't, I don't like to feel as if common sense stuff based on data and numbers is dismissible as like, oh, this is unmoving, right? Like, to actually put in writing, like, I wasn't moved by all of those numbers and all of those facts, or even by the fact that I called out your lie. You told a factual, like, it was factually incorrect. And to be moved by the fact to not be moved by the fact that you were called out on your factual incorrectness, to me, is nonsense.
Well, last night somebody told me that was masculinity, so.
Oh, I guess. And listen, and I'm not
the only
perfect.
thing I would
go ahead.
The only thing I would slightly challenge is the claim it's a lie. He was wrong, and I don't know. Are we intentionally not saying his name? Or I don't want to break.
I mean, I don't care. We can say FD signifier. No, I don't like whatever.
Yeah,
I just wasn't. I didn't really want.
I didn't know if that was part of the. No, because it could have been the Jared level petty. Because sometimes not mentioning the name is just as trifling, and I'm with that as anything. So I just wanted to make sure I wasn't breaking code.
I mean, though, that's everybody else's people. He's not my people. I reached out to him directly to try and engage in a conversation, and he completely ignored it, right? But he felt comfortable talking about me to other people.
He did,
while refusing to engage with me directly, even though I made multiple attempts to do so. So correct. I don't like people like that. Like, people like that, to me, is just
fair
shit.
enough.
So
all I was saying was I don't know that when he was speaking incorrectly he was lying. But he was in fact wrong.
So listen,
and I think everything you just said about what transpired off the record did happen that way. So I think
could it be some nuance to that? Because I know you correct me on that too when I say that. But if somebody is position themselves like they have done the research and they're speaking from some empirical data standpoint, will it be lying then? Because you didn't do the type of investigation, so your ass shouldn't be speaking. No investigation to write this.
I'm good with however people want to go there. I made my point about. I said what I had to say about that. I don't want to. I see what you're saying. I don't know. It's. Yeah, what is it? I recommend audience see FD signifier detailed analysis that contradicts Renee's theory.
As I literally just explained, that FD signifier provided an analysis that was rooted in false information.
Correct.
But go see that. Go for it. Go for it. Like, I don't know why.
I'm with that. If people, I would agree with that though, Renee. If folks want to see, like, if they haven't seen what he said, go see it.
Yeah. Fair enough. But to call it detailed analysis, when I clearly went through the multiple points that he made in his detailed analysis, that was incorrect. Don't call it detailed analysis. If you want to say you agree with him, we're gonna rock with the black man, whatever, like, go for it. But don't do that. Like, this is why that dude annoys me. Right? This is why Cop MDJ, you annoy me, right? No one's in denial. But this is what that person does. And I probably should ignore them because I think they do it on purpose just to aggravate my goddamn nerves.
Now that right there, all of that is, I agree with all of that.
Only person
FD on this one was wrong. And then he did not engage Renee, and then he did talk about Renee and by extension the rest of us indirectly without referencing in his own video. He did all of that. So, but more importantly to me is what Renee just said, that she demonstrated his errors, but if you have not seen it and you need, if what Renee has presented on its own is insufficient, and that's fine. I think a fair study would include seeing everything FD said and did. Go watch his stuff. Go and then come back and enjoy. I think you will appreciate the pettiness here, so-called. Because, by the way, when people say I'm petty, I really just think it's being principled and having fun with the fact that somebody disrespected. Like, because all it is enjoying someone else's disrespect of me or you or of us. So there are other responses to have to that, and this I think having fun with it is you know.
Right.
Get together, boo-boo.
I know. They brought the clap out. I was so irritated.
Let me get that
so
money. That's that
anywho, so that was it. That was all. That's what I've got. And I'm good. I'm good. I feel better now because I feel like one of the big things that we talked about was really waiting for a full data analysis to come back to explain why did people not support Kamala Harris. And now that there is a report that fully explains why people didn't support Kamala Harris, and it was because she's a genocide supporter in full-fledged sending money and cackling about it. And that her policies sucked. Like, so, this is where we're at. So
I do think people are conditioned, almost even by accident, to be anti this level of overt genociding. And I do think, like I've joked, but I really mean it, I think in general, white Americans have been conditioned to think unconsciously even that if we're not lynching and, just pine ridging and wounded kneeing, if we're not doing it that way, then everything else is gravy and everyone should be grateful and everyone should take that to mean that they have a quote unquote fair shake.
Right.
If Israel could be reined in to do it the way this country has evolved to do it, by which I mean, quote unquote, integrate, let some Palestinians become part of the bourgeoisie, make them some celebrities, co-opt some Palestinian indigenous cultural art forms, put them in movies, you could create a whole Palestinian capitalist class that we would then have to do shows about over here.
Althougthey partially did that with the Palestinian Authority with the help of
I'm saying they got to evolve it. I'm saying you got to but then they've regressed back to their, you know what I mean? Like the United States hasn't yet at least regressed back to Correct. Again that overt form. And so many people, as we are been discussing a lot here lately, are convinced that it's all good now. And that a 700 credit score, you know what I'm saying? All that type of stuff. Like,
right.
So my only point is, like, if they would do that, they would probably find themselves in a much better position. But because again, people, even, they've been conditioned, like, we don't want to be that involved in that level of it.
Right.
Put them in some ghettos and some hoods, let them have a couple movies.
And we'll just,
what I'm saying? Be in some commercials.
Right.
And, but y'all got to keep mowing the lawn, as they say.
Right.
Like that's, as they
and we just, we have to be able as real, like real talk, like we have to be able to just say genocide is not okay. Right? Like killing off a population of people and stealing their land is not okay. Right. And we're living that reality now. Right. Like I fully admit that I am living in a place where they killed off the people and stole the land. I'm aware of that. Right. I can't, there's not really not for nothing. It's not like I was like, I want to be born. Let's go. Right. Like I'm here now. So there's not much that I can do about that situation, that historical situation. However, I don't have to pretend like I don't understand that that's the reality of the history. And I also don't have to pretend as if it's okay to do that somewhere else. Right. Like just because like we're here living now, like that doesn't make it okay somewhere else. Right. It doesn't make it okay to send guns to Haiti and then claim that the guns are like the problem in Haiti. So now we got to send military to Haiti in order to shut the guns down. Like none of that started like the whole premise of how things out of this country work is, we got to do something about it. And so, there's that. Y'all don't get me started. I can't.
What the hell, David?
I can't. Don't.
My bad.
I'm
just having a moment. Who's driving off in my car? My kids people just take my car now. This kid's growing up thing is whack. I'm just watching just drive down the like word. I guess I don't have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Like he don't have nothing to do.
He on YouTube. We good right now.
Crazy. All right. So do we want to let's talk a little bit about like some of the upcoming events that are happening? Because I do want folks to be aware of the different ways, and it's already afternoon, so I didn't think my pettiness was going to last this long. So there is something actually literally happening in Newark right now as we speak. It started at noon in downtown Newark. That was the Facebook link, Jared, from Pop.
Oh,
so that's happening right now. And so, I don't know how many.
There it is.
I don't know how many folks are in or close to Newark who want to try. I don't know how long it's going to run either, to be honest. So I can't, their whole setup is real crazy. But if you scroll to the picture, you'll be able to see they're like,
wow.
Those are the orgs that signed on to support. So, but Pop itself is doing, a rally today out in front of City Hall. That started at noon. If you want to move, Jerry, to the nocopnation.org website, that one is a list of different organizations that are running events over the next few days. The week of action starts today, and the goal was to really do something in commemoration of the murder of Dorothy Gita. They're supposed to do a live nationwide town hall on the 21st. I haven't gotten the link yet to that if it's happening, but there are some planned actions in different parts of the country, so people can go to this website nocopnation.org, and then you can kind of look at the different things that are happening in different places.
And if I can, we can connect this to the previous discussion, because remember, Killer Mike said, what can we do about Cop City? They got $100,000 or whatever.
Right. Right.
So
you can go to the board. You can go to the board meetings and
go to the board meeting.
Get some contract.
So one of the things on there, and if you want to pull up the Is Your Life Better link, is a teaching on policing that we're doing in Orange, New Jersey. That's coming up on Monday. Shout out to the Hub for supporting and letting us use the space. Maps of Freedom School. There's a whole bunch of orgs, including Teaching While Muslim. BAP has signed on to support Public Square Amplified, and we're going to do 3 panels on policing. The first one will be with regard to the prison state, and we've had the brothers Chino and Talib on previously, so they're going to be on that panel, and all fingers crossed that he makes it. Daruba might be able to drop in and participate in that panel, so I'm all fired up about that. We've got some folks from Educators for Palestinian Liberation and from the Newark encampment who are going to speak at the second panel on policing from Palestine and the connections to Palestine. And then the third panel is going to be about media and propaganda. And our dear own Jared Abel is going to be coming up. And he will sit the panel along with Ntume. I thought I had a written journalist lined up, but she has to work. So I'm still trying to work on seeing if I can get someone else to participate. But if folks are able to do that, that's going to be in Orange at the hub. We're asking people to register with the link so that we know how many snacks and waters and things that we need to purchase. Also on that same day is a march and a rally that's going to be in Washington Square Park. That's the Instagram post that's to the right of the Is Your Life Better link. And that is going to be in Washington Square Park in New York City in the morning. Actually, I think Ntume is also going to be part of that. He's going to have a busy day on Monday. So that is happening on Monday, starting at 1 o'clock in Washington Square Park. So that's happening. And then also PSL New Jersey is also doing a rally at noon in front of the Newark City Square Hall, Newark, Newark, sorry. When you're from here, it all starts to sound the same. So PSL New Jersey is putting that on also on Monday. That's going to start at noon. That'll be in front of the City Hall. And then the last one is, I just actually got notice for this, and that's just a Google Drive. It's just the picture of the flyer that I got this morning. So this is another action that's taking place. So I don't know what the best way is to share all of these things. If there's another way, people might have to just go back and pause it.
Yeah, that's
But
just please pause and rewind and pause
right.
and
so
the only appropriate use of the term.
There you go.
So
there are all these things that are happening, and I'm not big, to be frank, I'm not much big on rallies. I know there's the big rally also happening for Inauguration Day in DC on Monday.
Stuff is happening now.
Yeah. Exactly. So, but I am trying my best to move towards more of conversations, teach-ins, and having these real opportunities to engage with people about how we figure out what we're going to do to save each other. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know how far we can get. The signs are great when you can show that there's a lot of people in support of something. Yes, that's obviously eye-catching and newsworthy. But in the end, all those people go home, right? And they're still living within whatever situation they walked away from to go participate in the rally. And so I would really like for there to be some, real push towards having these conversations with each other. The thing, and I said this to you a long time ago, Jared, when you came up and you did the book talk when I was still working, we had a conversation about people always saying well, what do we do? Right? What's your suggestion? And you feeling like you couldn't really answer that question. And I remember saying to you, what you do is break the propaganda and you engage in the conversation. That has to be the first step. So while people are still convinced that Black capitalism and Black buying power is a thing and that they can rely on that, you can't have a conversation with them about what you're going to do instead, right? The answer is not what you're going to do instead. The answer is, let's get away from this idea that this is how things have to be, right? So let's get away from this idea that the duopoly is the only choice, and let's really try and organize and have conversations about what policy means and what the other means are in order to get things done that don't necessarily have to do with red and blue, right? Let's talk about what it actually means to participate in a socialist society, right? So these are the things that I really would like to engage in, is to have these real conversations. And so I am going to continue to push on that end, to organize things where people can actually have conversations, where we can engage and have some political education and get people to kind of break free from the bubble that we're living in, and to kind of realize that they are running on a hamster wheel, and that until they can get themselves to recognize that they are distracted by things that are put in front of them to distract them in order for them not to change things. Right.
Yeah.
So
we had August Nips actually at our study group last week, and one of the conversations we was talking about, and I know we joke about this, like several people joke about like the revolution gonna need air conditioning. I want to be able to, but because we was trying to figure out like why, especially people who study Marx and Lenin, don't study this part, like the long, slow walk to revolution. And sometimes it's like, well, what's the solution? They try to jump to the solution. And like when you, like, as you were saying, when you have to sit down and be like, yo, it's going to take us moving from civil disobedience. No, first let's start there. The marches that say no justice, no peace, and all this other, it sounds good. And it's probably cool for, you know, some youth internship or something like, but when you got to talk about civil disobedience, then some more direct action, and then actual sabotage, then sustained interruptions, and actually putting your body in the lines. I just feel like you can't just skip the socialism. You have to again, as Claudia said, touch grass.
Right.
And then
there's a whole lot
between
those two steps. And a large part of it, in my opinion, is that people just don't know. Mm-hmm. Right. Like, I'm always fascinated when I have conversations with people about different things, and they're like, damn, I didn't even know that. And I have to remind myself often that I am the weirdo here, right? Like, I am the one who will sit down and read a book. Like, I finally got around, you know how long, Jared, I've had that conversation between you about the Afro-pessimism, between you and Frank Wilkinson, like how long it's been tagged in my watch this list, right? And I finally, and it was something you said to me in a text that I was like, you know what, I need to go watch that. So it was on the forefront of something that I needed to do. And now I'm listening to the book, right? But I understand that a lot of people don't do that, right? Like, that's not the path for it. And mostly because a lot of people don't have time to do it. I am jobless right now, so I have time to do some things that I didn't have time to do before. And so, you know, the reading and all those things, and shout out to millennials because they did that reading group on George Jackson's book, Blood in My Eye. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to keep up with the meetings. Thursday nights have turned out to be tougher than I anticipated. But it forced me to reread. It's very good. And it has forced me to reread the book. Right. Mm-hmm. And so these are the things that I think, if we can find ways within our own communities and within our own spaces to engage with each other and to have these conversations, so that people can become more aware and open to things that they're just simply not going to become aware of if all you do is spin on your hamster wheel and watch MSNBC. Right. Like, so folks, pause it and go back.
Which is the bottom line. That's the point.
And organize, join an organization, organize. So,
yeah, circulate the black dollar too. Circulate. Buy black weed. Reggie,
Geechee got a dip.
Yeah.
All right, Geech.
Appreciate you.
All right, thanks for joining.
Anytime.
All right.
Peace.
Do we have time to talk about this death penalty thing? Do you think? I mean, we got like 12
yeah,